Hello and welcome to the Homeschool House Calls. This is our 2018 interview with Lyra and Sarah about expat homeschooling part two. I hope you enjoy the interview as much as we did. You can find the first part in our YouTube channel, on our YouTube channel. I hope you enjoy it.
And like our son is like, he feels called to Africa, so he was learning Swahili, and I'm like, okay, no. I said, if you want to learn a foreign language, Romanian is first. I said, you can learn any language after Romanian, but until you're fluent in Romanian, get off of Google Translate with any other language. So we're in the process, okay? We're not there, but we're in the process.
Okay, what about you, Lyra?
We actually
foreign
have
language woes?
What's that?
Do you have foreign language woes?
Oh, so many quotes. We actually have a similar story. When we were living in Belarus still, our youngest were about the same age, I think 3 and 4, and we put them into the kindergarten there as well, wanting them to feel comfortable, wanting them to learn the language. And if you'll excuse me, I just want to close the door real quick.
Okay.
Sorry about that. What happened is at that time in Belarus, anyways, they were not welcoming of outsiders, of foreigners, and so pretty much the caregivers just put our son on a bench and left him there all day. And so all the group that they would they would put him off to the side. He was never included in any of the group activities. If they had to go to a different room, they just carried him. I mean, he's, not a baby, but they would carry him to that group or the different room, and he would just sit. He was never involved. And I think to this day that's played in his psyche.
Yeah.
And we tried that. We probably did that for about 2 years with our daughter as well. And in the end, we just thought it's not worth it. We went on furlough. My husband's Australian, and so we were on furlough in Australia. And Micah, our eldest, was at the age of starting kindergarten. So we thought, well, this is an opportunity to put him into the Australian school system and just see how he does. And thankfully, his teacher was a Christian from our church, of all things. And she pulled us aside and mentioned that Micah, whenever they're doing any class activity, he actually removes himself physically from the group and goes and sits by himself, because that was what he was programmed.
That's what he was,
and so that's just kind of been a continuous struggle, I think, in this part of the world where even after the Soviet Union has collapsed, there's still that suspicion and that prejudice against the Western people. Here in Lithuania, we did send them to school for a couple of years. When our fourth Samantha was born, and we thought, it'll be a good chance for them to learn the language. They were still early enough in their elementary education that we felt like they wouldn't lose too much if they spent a year or 2 in school. And it was really good for our daughter, but she's very social, so she's more inclined to communicate, and she did very well picking up language. She's an extrovert. Our son, not so much. He's more introverted. Mm-hmm. And so he understands the language, but he will not speak. And I think the few attempts that he did make in school, he was bullied for.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of one of those things. I think when you're approaching foreign language as a missionary family, I think for us, anyways, I'm learning we have to take into account personality and ability of your children, and their future. I mean, our desire for them was that they would know the language, they would feel comfortable here and be able to talk freely with those around them. But the reality is that they have to want to do that. Yeah. They have to want to be comfortable where they are. And right now, I'd say our eldest is probably just thinking he wants to go to Australia and go to university. He doesn't need to learn Lithuanian because he's not planning to live here.
Yeah.
And he's not comfortable. You know, some people just, they never are able to make that step of
Yeah.
knowing the language and being able to speak the language. Is a very difficult step.
I think that's where my Juliana is. Juliana is the only child I've had that has actively pursued Russian so far. I mean, the other ones may eventually do that, but her main motivation was because Nick has Russian friends in town, and they will sit and talk on the phone. So she wanted to know what they were saying. So she studied really hard, and then she came to me one day and said, "Mama, I wanted to know so bad, and it's so boring. All they ever talk about is politics and some guy named Putin."
And some guy named Putin. It wasn't worth the eavesdropping.
But we've been lucky. We have a Russian mother who homeschools in town, and she has actually sat down with Cole and Juliana and played games, and has even said that she will set up playing games with the younger ones and just kind of encouraging them to study. So she's been a gift.
Yeah, I will say for our younger kids, because we're home all the time. My husband works from home, so we're all home all the time. They're not really getting much opportunity to learn the language. But like right now, I have a couple of my girls out, and they're playing with the neighborhood kids, and so they're learning and they're interacting that way, and they do pick up quite a bit. We learn what we can on through just computer programs that my husband's found. So I mean, we're taking steps towards educating them so that they can speak with their friends. I think I'm just learning that, you know, for all of our thoughts of they have to do this, they have to do that. That God's
not always
differently.
It's not always what you, exactly. And Nick will tell me that sometimes because I get into this mindset, oh, this is what Alabama says they need, and we need to stay close, and they're going to graduate, and they're going to go to college. And Nick's like, relax. Relax. We're fine.
Our Holly, she's actually, she was really touched by the story of Helen Keller that she, you know, I think second, third grade, they learned, you know, read Helen Keller. I can't think of the name of the book. Is it just Helen Keller?
I know who Helen Keller is. She's from Alabama.
She's from Alabama. Anyway, so she actually has taken that interest to the next level, and she's been learning Braille. She took ESL as a foreign language this year, and so I think for her, you know, she definitely has that interest in languages, and she has, you know, she's moved by compassion and wanting to learn sign language, and so we're trying to encourage that. I think with our kids getting older, I'm just realizing that they
have their own path.
They have their own path, and their
own call.
What God has in store for them is beyond Lithuania. It's beyond us.
Beyond us. That their call is not always our call. Yes, that's a hard thing for a mama to accept when they start getting older.
It is. It's hard, but you know, I had this talk with my eldest daughter. She just turned 14, and we were coming back from furlough, and she loves it here. She has so many friends. And we'd been home for about a month, and I like to check up, you know, emotionally do the checkup. So, you know, how you doing? How do you feel about being home? And she goes, Mom, it doesn't feel the way I thought it would. She really expected to have that feeling of homecoming. She didn't have it. Right. And I think she felt really guilty about that she didn't feel like she was coming home, and that she had a mission in mind. And, you know, it was the first time we had to talk about, you know, this is what God has called your dad and I to do, but maybe he's called you to do something different. And, you know, what is he want for you? And it was, it was a big talk. It's a big talk to have. Yeah,
it's a big thing when they start thinking outside of mama and daddy. Because right now, even my boy will be 17 this summer. He talks about staying, and Nick always tells him, "Y'all can stay as long as you want." He's a big talker.
Like to say.
I have one kid who says she's never leaving and that she's staying with us forever.
My Olivia is 9, and that's what she says, that she will be here forever.
Yeah.
Hang on to that.
Like,
My
please
8-year-old's
don't
like, I'm
leave
never
me.
getting married and I'm never having kids and I'm never moving out of your house.
Most of mine say that. Most of mine say that because Alicia was so rough. They're like, I would not have survived the first 2 years without my big kids. I mean,
Yeah.
they took over most of the cooking. I mean, she was screaming 24/7. It was a rough 2 years. But now she could care less if I'm here most of the time. In fact, she loves those big kids, and most of the time she doesn't even come find me unless there's something wrong, like a dirty diaper. That's what I rate. Oh my
It
goodness.
happens sometimes, doesn't it?
I know. I'm like, okay, whatever. Okay, let me see. One thing I thought about. What about the expat community? Do y'all have a large community? Is there a lot of Americans and expats in your area? I know when we lived in Belarus, when I was there was an international church for a while.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we would I remember me and Nick would switch out and we'd go to the main church, hear Russian. And then the next Sunday we'd go to the international church. And that was our dating years. I was telling Sarah about our dating years. Wasn't really a year, it was 1 year.
1 year, that's right. And then the big wait.
Oh my God, it was almost a year and a half.
I know.
It was horrible. I mean, I would boo-hoo because it took almost a year to get that paperwork finished. And then finally it did. But so what kind of expat? Do y'all have people to interact with?
Yes, we do. By the time we left Belarus, we were one of the last missionaries left standing.
I think I know of one family that's still there.
I know of one
I'm
family.
friends. What is her name? I think the last name is Davis.
Yes.
Yeah, I know that I'm friends because a group of women went to Belarus. And it ended up being a friend that lives around the corner, her sister who lives in Michigan, and she brought her sister brought me a T-shirt home with Belarus on it. Yeah. I was like, that was so sweet.
Yeah,
that's like the only group I know of.
They're the only family I know of that's left from when we were there. So here we're part of the European Union, so there is a larger expat community. And there are quite a few missionaries, but I think that the community isn't as strong. And it's been a bit of a struggle, I think, for us to find not just connectivity, but fellowship.
Mm-hmm.
We only know of one other homeschooling family, another missionary family. But they, she's at the end of schooling 10 children. So, she's not really interested in co-ops or curriculum swaps.
Not the same stage.
Yeah, we're not at the same stage, which is fine. We still do quite a bit with them, just not really at a schooling academic level. But, one of our prayers this last year was for our family that the kids just needed friends. I have a middle child. She'd never had a friend her age that spoke English. And God said we have 2 new missionary families that have just arrived from Assemblies of God, actually. And I'd say at this point we are feeling like we have a community around us, but we've had a lot of years without that. So, but none of them are homeschoolers. Their kids are in international school, which is great. They're able to do that. So that was a really long answer to a simple question. Sorry.
No, I like hearing the long answer. Okay, what about you, Sarah? Do y'all have a community? Is there a lot? Or y'all?
It's kind of hard to even describe. When we moved here to Constanza like 5 years ago, there's a YWAM base. I don't know if you know what YWAM is. It's Youth with a Mission. It's interdenominational. And we have become friends with them, but they're not necessarily, there's one American couple and they have kids. but they also don't homeschool, and their lives are very different here than what our lives are. So we're kind of friends, not like super close, but we occasionally get together. And the YWAM base is a lot of Europeans. So like for them, homeschooling just isn't really even an option, kind of like they don't,
Mhm.
I don't know. We have a lot of people who are kind of against homeschooling, and I've been told that homeschooling doesn't develop children properly socially, and how are they going to do well if they don't have someone to compete against? And I mean, it's just a very different thought process. So we were very alone in this, like for a very long time. And we had really prayed. Our oldest is kind of like you were saying, Lyra. He's an introvert, and he had no friends here. Like he had one friend that lived 3 hours away who spoke English, and I mean he just struggled. And whereas my 8-year-old, she's very talkative, and it didn't matter if she knew the language or not, she would just go make friends. And he was like, Mom, it's so easy for her, and it's hard on me. And everyone we knew had girls and no boys. And then the people that we did know with kids, they were much younger. They were all like, you know, closer in age to our 2 younger kids. So God really blessed us. About 6 months ago, we met a family who are with a different missions organization. They live like 40 minutes away from here, but they have 5 boys and 1 girl. So like for the first time, our son had friends, and that was just huge. And she actually is the first person I met here in the city who homeschools. So she homeschools 4 of hers, and then 2 go to the national school here. And then I recently just met a Romanian mom, which was just a really cool God thing, and I'm hoping that leads to some really cool ministry. But she homeschools out of her house, but it's not, I don't want to say it's illegal, but it's not recognized by the country. So we've only met one time, and we're talking, and we're friends now. So I don't know, we're trying to get together. So in short, no, we don't have much of a community, but God's really building it and bringing people into our lives. So
That's
once
awesome.
again, long answer.
Okay, so we're going to wrap this up, but I don't really want to leave y'all. I feel at home. I feel at home, but I do want to pray for y'all. And I mean, anytime y'all need support, y'all let me know, because we will pray. And I will get on the phone, and I'll call some other homeschool mamas and say, hey, they're having a hard time. We need to pray. Y'all let me know, because y'all have my heart. I love my missionaries. I mean, I think Sarah knows.
We very much love. We have a lot of cards here from y'all, and we just, they make us smile.
Yeah, I designed those. Those cards. I'll have to send you some, Lyra. You need to send me your address. But it has my
The kids thought they were the greatest thing because they never get mail.
Our AG missionaries is when they see it and they drive up to visit next time, that they feel at home, because all the pictures are familiar. They've seen the card, they've seen the pastor, they've seen the building, they've seen the people, so that y'all know that when y'all come, y'all are at home.
That's great.
I'm over the missions at my church, Lyra.
You what?
I'm over the missions at my church.
Are you? Of course you
So
are.
I may not be on the mission field, but I support my missionaries. Okay, I'm going to unmute Cynthia. Cynthia, did you have something to say?
I just wanted to say, anytime you need prayer, I will pray for you. I've done mission work in the past, way back when, but I have a very soft spot in my heart for missionaries, and I will definitely keep you in my prayers.
Thank you.
So anyway, so we're going to close up with prayer, because I do want to pray for y'all, and I love y'all, and I appreciate y'all coming on today. Hopefully our other mamas will watch it and they will enjoy y'all, and maybe get a little bit of, you never know. Maybe some mama's worried about homeschooling and being on the mission field. You just don't ever know.
Yeah.
So anyway, Jesus, I'm coming to you today, and I'm asking you to bless Sarah and Lyra. You know their mama's hearts. You know how they feel and the things they want for their children. And I'm asking you to step in and meet their needs. Father, touch and bring them friends, close friends. Give them divine wisdom on how to lead their children and how to develop them and help them to grow to be what you want them to be, because they're in an awesome place, and they have selfishly answered your call. And I'm asking you to step in and meet all their needs today. In Jesus' name I ask, amen. I love y'all. And I appreciate y'all. And I could sit here all day and talk to y'all because y'all are my peeps. Lyra, maybe we need to make a meeting on Zoom in a couple of days when Nick is actually here, because he is such a funny guy. He is actually, next week, he is my workshop leader. He is teaching an eBay store. He's really brilliant with money. Y'all don't even know. He pays our bills. He lost his job last year. eBay pays our bills.
That's so
brilliant. Cool. And just a good guy.
He always has been.
Good husband. Lyra knew he would be. She knows him from way back. He's a good
I did.
He is.
Yes.
But anyway, I love y'all and I appreciate y'all. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I'm going to end this meeting because I could sit here all day. I'm a talker. I somehow turned into a talker. It's because of the Vascos. There are 6 Vascos. They outnumber me and I have to talk. But I love y'all. Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Cynthia.
Bye.
Hello and welcome to the Homeschool House Calls. This is our 28th